Are we just waiting on everybody?
I guess so. I'm not,
Yes, the person that started our Zoom started it a little late. I apologize.
That's okay.
Just waiting for a couple more committee members.
Okay, doke.
Okay, I can go ahead and start at 7:37. This is Barrie Johnson. I'm the chair for the Transportation Committee for the Studio City Neighborhood Council. And this is our March committee meeting. And I'll call the meeting to order, as I said, at 7:37 and do roll call. Barrie Johnson, I'm here. Mark Rubin, I do not see yet. Joe Perry.
Here.
Randy Freed, I do not see at the moment. And Peggy, Abby Velasco.
I'm here.
So we have a quorum. We have 3 of 5. Approval of February 2nd, 2022 Transportation Committee meeting minutes. If there are no objections to what I sent out, I'll consider these approved. Hearing none, they are approved. Number 3, update of the committee chair. Just pleased to say our 2 February motions passed at the board meeting. One was for investigating the new signal timing at Ventura Boulevard and Radford Avenue, causing traffic to back up into the Ventura Laurel Canyon intersection, which then becomes gridlocked. And I do have something from George Placentia from Nithya Raman's office, who says, I spoke with APSAC yesterday, and APSAC is like the automatic signal timing division of LADOT. He says they have adjusted the signal timing at the intersections of Ventura and Radford, as well as Ventura and Carpenter. They have also put all the intersections in the area on adaptive mode during the rush hour period of 1:37 p.m. This means that the signal should auto adjust the signal timing according to traffic demand. APSAC will continue to monitor the locations. He wrote this Monday. Unfortunately, this was 2 days ago. I'm getting reports from people and even my own eyewitnessing that this is still a problem, and we're still working on it. So it's not fully taken care of yet. But I know on Monday night at 7 o'clock, it was still backed up on Ventura to like almost Advantage. So we need some more work on this. And our other motion that passed the board at the board meeting was regarding investigating mitigation for the eastbound Kling Street at Goodland, where drivers are ignoring the eastbound stop sign. That also passed, and that's also something that our council member Rahman and LADOT will be looking into. Going on to item number 4. Does anybody have any public comments on non-agenda items within the committee's jurisdiction? If so, raise your hand or press *9. Seeing none. Okay, so we can go past number 5 since we had no public comments. I'm going to go to item number 6. Discussion and possible motion with respect to traffic problems with the drop-off and pickup of students at Walter Reed Middle School and some permanent remedies from the Los Angeles Department of Transportation, LADOT. I know we have several stakeholders who wish to speak. Who wanted to go first? Bonnie, okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll go first. Okay, first, I just want to
Okay.
thank you guys for allowing us to do this. I'm Bonnie Califf. I live on Irvine Avenue, directly across the street from Walter Reed Middle School. And when I get done giving my little thing, Jim Pizzulo, who lives a couple doors down, will also come up with the suggestions. We've dealt with the Reed parent traffic for years and years. And when I was on the board of SCRA, we were able to get street signs put up at Moore Park and Irvine, and then Landale and Irvine, saying between the hours of 7 and 9 a.m. and 2 and 4 p.m. during drop off and pickup, there would be no left-hand turns onto Moore Park, and then no right-hand turns from Landale onto Irvine. And that was to keep the traffic flowing in a reasonable manner. I can guarantee you that was probably 10 years ago, those signs went up. And
And Bonnie, are those signs still there?
I believe so. The one down at Moore Park is, and I'm not sure if they took the one down at Landale or not, because I see the sign there, and it may be just a stop sign. I'll have to double check, but even while
Okay.
they were up, I can guarantee you that the amount of tickets that were issued to people breaking that rule, I could count on one hand. It was ridiculous. Nobody was obeying it, and the police wouldn't honor the giving out of tickets. Most of us on our block from Landale up to Sarah and then below down to Moore Park, we've lived here, all of us, between 10 and 20 years. And for some reason, this year is the worst we have ever seen the traffic with the parents at the school. Several times, so many parents, let me put it this way, arrive to pick up their kids in the afternoon. The kids get out at 3:02 or 3:03, and the parents are there from an hour to an hour and a half before the kids get out, and they just sit there, and then they start double parking, and they will block our driveways. They will park in our driveways. Let me see, some of us have purchased orange cones to put up across the driveway to discourage this. When we've got the cones up, which is every day, they will park on the side of the cone. So they're blocking the road going north on Irvine up to Sarah. They will double park and triple park in the afternoon, waiting for their kids to be released. And it makes it impossible for residents or anyone to get up and down the street, and or even getting out of our driveways. And if we are having work done on our homes, or the gardeners, they have no place to park during the day. And if an emergency vehicle had to get down Irvine, you just have to, excuse me, wish them good luck, because these parents are pretty obstinate and they don't want to move. We have parents. Another problem is we have parents stopping in the middle of the street to drop their kids off or to pick them up. And then the kid has to make a mad dash in front of the traffic to get across the street when they're well aware that the school has informed the students to walk to the crosswalk to cross the street. Last week in the morning, it was a week ago, this past Tuesday, a girl was walking in the crosswalk from the east side to the west side to go at Sarah Street to go to, get into the school. And she was hit in the crosswalk. And this resulted in the fire department and the ambulance being called. They rushed her to Children's Hospital for treatment. And a couple of weeks prior to this, another adult and a student were hit but did not require medical attention. The school is not responsive enough. Once the student was hit by the crosswalk, they finally reached out to parking enforcement and they were ticketing drivers last week. However, this isn't going to last when the parking enforcement people leave. After I would, it's kind of like driving down the freeway and watching, if there's an accident, you shouldn't look at the accident, but you do. And I've become like that since I've been working at home with the parents. And it's like, you just cannot believe the insane things that they do, on Irvine. And with the officer, he was trying to ticket drivers. I've actually seen the drivers take the ticket and remain double parked in the street until their student exits the school. I know I've reached out several times and other residents have reached out several times to parking enforcement asking for help, but they're only told that they're short-staffed. And when I called the school or sent emails to the principal, I'm told they make announcements and send notes home. That's not going to cut it. The parent drivers need to be held responsible and the school needs to be held responsible. The students are old enough to know how they should cross a busy street. But when you have a parent stopping in the middle of Irvine to drop a kid off or picking them up, this is being done by the parent. And they're expected to get in and out of the car and make a mad dash across the street to avoid getting hit. Then let me see. Sorry, I'm just double checking right now. What we're asking for is someone to be responsible and force the parents to be human and protect their kids. And so far this year, the parents and the drivers are just, like I said, they are the absolute worst. And no matter what we've done, when they started having the parking enforcement officer last week, I actually went across the street in the afternoon and thanked him. And he said, he goes, well, I'm very pleased to hear you thanking me. He said, because basically the abuse I've been taking by writing tickets just this afternoon has been crazy. And he said, so, you're very welcome. And I said, well, I called last Friday, but I never heard anything back from parking enforcement. And now you're here because a kid got hit. So Jim can come up with, can tell you what we've come up with.
And you were also saying that the current parents at the school seem to have a sense of entitlement.
Oh my God, yes. Yes.
Which doesn't surprise me. And
yeah.
And I want to say, decades ago, when I went to Walter Reed Junior High School, so it's decades ago. I lived I was like a half mile south of Moore Park. I walked to and from school. What happened to kids walking to and from school to this school? I don't get it. I mean, I understand even when I went there, kids that lived up in the hills didn't walk to school. I get that. But there's a lot of kids in the surrounding neighborhoods that could be walking that I don't think are. What's up with that? Why don't kids walk to school anymore? Particularly, these are not elementary school kids.
No, they're not. And I mean, they do have sixth graders there now. It's sixth, seventh, and eighth. But the thought of a parent letting their kid walk one block, it's like, oh my God, my kid's not going to do it. And our other neighbor, who I don't think is on this call, she said, she's watched it too. And you would think that parents would get some kind of carpooling going, but they don't. There's, it's like on the freeway, you've got one person in a car and that's it. And the parents, I know, I lived up in North Hollywood when my daughter went to read. And I would come down and I would drop her so she would have a block to walk to get to the school because the traffic was bad then. It's nothing compared to what it is now. And just like, I was saying, well, why don't, if a kid doesn't follow the rules and they cut across the streets, get a teacher out there and put them on detention for one day after a warning. They can't even do detention at the school anymore. The parents won't allow it. So it's just.
Well, the principal lets the parents call the shots.
Oh, totally. Totally. We had, this woman's been here 2 years. And prior to her, we had a principal that was there for 1 year. And he was the best thing that we had in a long time. He actually would have someone bring out cones to put across our driveways. So the parents wouldn't park there. And then he had, I remember he had one of the staff had like a sandwich sign that said, that read, do not block the driveways, do not park in driveways, keep moving, don't stop in the street. And then he lasted 1 year at the school, and I guess there were complaints and they moved him, they transferred him. This principal we have now came down from Colfax Elementary, and it's awful. It's ridiculous. And when you get a parent literally pulling in your driveway and you tell them to get out, you hear, I'll only be here for a minute. And then what was it? Last Friday, they were double parking and the woman was, the parking enforcement was giving tickets, but one of the parents, our neighbors, said that the principal went out to the woman and said, move your car, you're getting a ticket. And the woman, the parent, just looked at the principal and said no. And nothing gets done,
Yeah.
It is pretty crazy, but now and I had said, my God, this year when I'd be on a rant about the traffic, and I said to my husband, a kid's going to get hit by a car. Well, it happened last Tuesday, and then
Okay.
I told you, Barrie, that the mom, the woman that hit her did not have a driver's license, did not have registration, did not have insurance on the car. And so the mom of the girl that was hit left 4 messages for the principal to call her back. And as of last Thursday, the principal had not called her back.
All right. Yeah, I was just going to say before you said Jim also wanted to speak.
Yeah, Jim has some of our suggestions.
Before we go to Jim,
Yeah.
Hold off 1 second. I just want to let Joe Perry, who's a committee member, she had her hand raised briefly in case she wanted to mention something.
Just
that's
briefly,
based on what you said.
I'm very sympathetic to this. I lived on Irvine, the other side of Irvine. I went to Walter Reed. At Oakwood School, when my kids were at Oakwood Elementary, if parents moved, blocked a driveway or moved a garbage can, they got hell from the principal, the Oakwood Lower School.
Mhm.
I mean, she was tough. And she said, they even redesigned, I'm not there for years, but they redesigned the drop off to keep the cars out of, fewer cars on Moore Park and Woodbridge. But it really comes to the top, and I'm next to Carpenter and we have very similar problems, though the kids are younger. It's not all pickup, but it's really needs to stop. So I'm sympathetic to you. That's all.
No, well, thank you. It's ridiculous what's going on. And we have tried for so many years to get the school to do something. And the only thing we were able to get through when I was on SCRA was the signs, the street signs, and that was it. But this year, as I said, is the worst I have ever seen it. You know, I mean, they used to have parents standing down at Sarah and Irvine to direct the traffic, to keep it moving. And I think a lot of there's no parents doing that anymore because they're tired of getting hollered at by the, by the parents that are driving, that are being told what to do. You know?
All right. I was going to say maybe we should go to Jim then.
Okay.
Okay. Everybody hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Again, my name is Jim Pizzullo. My wife and I have lived on Irvine for over 18 years. And it's true. This year is about the worst it's been. I think at the core of what we can all agree upon is that traffic congestion be alleviated during drop-off and primarily pickup times, increase the student safety, reduce noise, and reduce the amount of garbage on the east side of Irvine. Parents do have a tendency when they're sitting for a long time in their car to just eat, change diapers, and dump it right out the car window. The amount of times I've picked up a dirty diaper is too many to count. So we've all gotten together at different times and we've gathered some suggestions that might be considered to reduce the school traffic on Irvine. Some of these suggestions contradict each other, but we're just trying to convey some broad stroke ideas, get the Department of Transportation involved. Anybody that wants to be involved that has a solution that can piggyback on this would be great. So number one, more outreach from the school to parents, emphasizing traffic flow and safety. Problems with disposing of garbage on the street and excessive noise, car music, horns, etc. The moving of garbage cans, as Bonnie has mentioned, have resulted in trash not being picked up. I know the school has tried to do this outreach, at least they claim to have, but they have to do a better job. And that takes the strength of a principal and or faculty staff to reinforce this, which they do not seem to be doing. They need to respect the neighborhood. The parents just need to respect the neighborhood much better. Number two, no parking by school faculty or staff on Irvine. They've got a parking lot for this, but a lot of the faculty and staff, because I see the same cars, they're all just backed up on the street, which then, causes more traffic for parents picking up. Number three, before a comprehensive traffic flow solution is developed, not all homes have cones. We would like the school or LA Department of Transportation to provide these if possible, at least from Sarah to Landale, and best case scenario from Sarah all the way to Moore Park, blocking all the neighbors' driveways. Because I think if the parents start to see cones at every single spot, they're going to be more apt to not either run over the cones, which I've seen them do. So we'd like that to be considered. Number four, no parking, standing, or stopping on the east side of Irvine except for residents during pickup hours. So no parking during those times. So that can open up that area. Many schools, number five, many schools provide one-way traffic flow for the orderly pickup and drop off of students. We welcome solutions and feedback from Department of Transportation, Studio City Neighborhood Council, et cetera, the Residents Association. Whoever wants to bring this to the table, that would be great because other schools do this. Six, allow one-way traffic on Irvine Avenue, north to south, to pull into the inlet that is built there for the pickup and drop off of students. We welcome solutions and feedback from the Department of Transportation and the Neighborhood Council on how to logistically work this out and how to implement it.
Can I interrupt 1 second? Are you
Sure.
saying that they're not using that turn where you can turn in front of the school?
They have it coned off in spaces. Sometimes it's completely coned off and sometimes it's not. So it makes it sort of ambiguous with what parents are supposed to do. So what it's become
So-
now is just another place for people to park if they can get into it. So you have end up 2 rows of traffic on the west side of the street. So it's not really being utilized in the most efficient manner.
Yeah.
So alternatively, allow parents to pull.
The real trouble is too many cars are coming for kids that should be walking to and from school. I mean, there's just way too many cars more now than there was 40 years ago. Yet the
Absolutely.
school's population isn't anymore.
True, but it's going to be a real hard call to tell parents to, hey, now you have to walk to school. This is entitlement issues abound here, and that's just something I respectfully, that's never going to happen. Of emphasizing to parents here, have your kid walk to school. They're going to cite
nobody strong. There's not been a strong principle that's been, supported by the school district to lay down the law.
That is 100% true. So just to round these off, alternatively, allow parents to pull into the Irvine Avenue parking lot at Landale, heading north to south, to drop off and or pick up their students. No parking or standing, just dropping off or picking up, then immediately pulling out of the parking lot and turning right towards Moore Park. This worked during the pandemic when either materials or laptops or anything was getting handed out. They worked out traffic flow for parents to come in. Now it was for the most part of the day, but that traffic backed all the way up onto Sarah and beyond. And that worked for people. The street wasn't congested. So, with all the other pickup and drop off areas with Sarah and Colfax, Troost, Moore Park, you would think that we could be able to disperse and ameliorate some of this traffic, so that it was more manageable. That leads to potentially a traffic light at Irvine and Moore Park to alleviate congestion and provide more safety. Timing of that street light to be, time specific, so that kids could actually get picked up potentially on Moore Park, could cross the street on Moore Park much safer. Cars leaving from the north to south direction would have a light that they could be able to turn left on out of Irvine onto Moore Park either way. Then that leads to the traffic congestion on Colfax from north to south at Sarah. It would be great for that traffic light to have an arrow, because traffic backs up at Sarah on Colfax all the way to Riverside and beyond at times. And so there's no strong traffic flow for people to turn left to get onto Sarah. So that ends up getting all blocked up, and just, you just have a backlog of cars. So the preferred solution from the neighbors, which is sort of the toughest sell, would be to implement what happens when a film production occurs on Irvine. Simply not allow anyone to drive down the street from Sarah to Moore Park. If there's a student or any other emergency, access is always available. That would be a given. But just like the production that started here at the end of the day, traffic can't go down. There's film productions that have gone on for a week or two, and somehow parents are able to pick and drop off their kids without driving down Irvine at all. Is this maybe a pain for the parents? At this point, I don't have a lot of sympathy for them, but it works. And that's something that's tried and true. The school's simply not going to give up on allowing filming to happen. And so they make it work. And that's a solution right there. And plus, it can only happen potentially between the hours for pickup, where, whether it's an hour and a half or a 2-hour window, where there's just no traffic allowed down the street and they have to work it out a different way, then that makes it safer for the residents, more accessible, less garbage, certainly less noise. And there you go. So just appreciate the opportunity to kind of share this with all of you, and whatever you can do to help out or offer any other additional suggestions would be great.
Your list that you read, is that something you could email me?
Absolutely, absolutely. What would that address be?
It's B as in boy, Johnson, JOHNSON, 4166 at sbcglobal.net.
SBC or SCC?
S as in Sam, B as in boy, C as in Charlie.
Yeah. Okay.
sbcglobal.net. And the reason I wanted you to email that to me is I spoke to our neighborhood council president, Randy Freed, before the meeting earlier today. And he's also on this committee, but couldn't be here this evening. But, you know, I had originally put on the agenda that we, you know, might, or I had actually told Bonnie we might do a motion to Councilmember Krikorian about this, but I actually think it's probably better, and Randy concurred, that we first, he as president was going to send an email to the president with all these concerns, and if she does nothing, and send it to the school board member for our area, and perhaps even CC him on the original outreach he would do to the principal. Because I think the school board guy can probably get faster action than our council member, because it's a LAUSD issue and not a city issue. Anybody thoughts on that? Yeah, Joe?
You know, we talked a little, I think this is an issue at many schools, for one thing. Secondly, I would be happy to help you put together, you know, I want to see pictures of you say garbage, I want to send a package, you know, with visuals and maybe video of some of it and the date and time of the accident and all that to whomever we decide to contact. But I have found that the principals are unresponsive. They don't want to take responsibility, I think, for what goes on outside the school. And there's a problem because there's, you know, the district is not working with the neighborhood. They're not being good neighbors. The schools are not being good neighbors, and they're endangering students. This is, I think, the way to go in terms of safety first. You know, the lack of safety for everyone there, including residents. I assume you can't get out or in. You know, I just think there's a way to really put together a very effective presentation. I'm happy to help with visuals and video and say, you know, this is unacceptable. We have a new head of LAUSD, so that's an opportunity as well. But I do think that the council members should be involved to mediate or you know, talk about it. They need they have studies for how to, they do studies for how to deal with this kind of thing and flow and all that.
Okay, I'm trying to get immediate action here, and going through Krikorian, it'll be a year.
And I guess you have to go to police. Yeah. Police.
Well, I don't like the principal either. I'll tell you from my just minimal dealings on things I've contacted her about. So, and Randy, there was a problem with music from the band area, and they were practicing outside. He got nowhere with the principal, but he did with the school board member, and it was fixed. So let's bypass the principal. She's had her chance to fix it. She's done nothing. Well, Randy can write directly to Scott, our school board member, and then if he doesn't get it fixed, then we can go to the new school board superintendent and or Krikorian. But I think we ought to try a proven route first.
Okay, I think that's good. And I'm happy to help put together some sort of, people are going to think you're exaggerating if they don't see what you see every day. It's hard to imagine if you don't see it. So we could put together a video or photographs or something of the litter and that might be helpful.
Yeah, that's something that it's a good idea. It's going to delay sort of some of this going out. I think if some initial outreach can be done and then backed up at a later time with either video or pictures or something like that, that's certainly viable.
And we can certainly do what you suggest and just do Randy's presidential email to the school board member relatively quickly, in the next week. So that I think that's maybe the best route for starters, and then we'll see what kind of action we get via the school board member. Does that sound like a plan, Bonnie and Jim?
Yeah, I think it would be great. I'll throw in a couple of my 2 cents here. We had Krikorian's office doesn't do squat. We had a homeless guy that made his own little encampment on the other side of the fence that leads up to the freeway on Sarah. And he was having an open fire where he was cooking his food. And we've have not had any rain. So of course I'm on it. I went to the school and said to the principal, I said, you can probably get this taken care of faster than I can. Why don't you call? And she said, well, I've called the school. She named the school offices. And then she said, and I called 311. And I said, that's, and I was trying to be decent about it. I said, that's part of your problem. That's Caltrans property. It has nothing to do with the city. So you have to reach out to Caltrans. That totally ticked her off and nothing happened. So then I reached out to Krikorian's office, got one of his people, very nice. That guy actually came over and took pictures. But then we had a neighbor because the chain link fence, all the gates were unlocked, with Caltrans. Every time they went in there, they never locked the fence back up. And so one of our neighbors down the street went and put a padlock on the gates. So the guy couldn't get in or out. So that he left pretty quickly when he did get in. So, that kind of worked. But this principal I'm sorry, she's worthless. And the parking enforcement officers said to me last week, after it happened, I guess it was last Wednesday, he said, one thing, this school is lucky. There are quite a few side streets where the parents can park and then walk over to the school if they have to meet their kid. I said, that's the key word, walk. They aren't going to do that. I said, the kids they won't allow their kids to walk, and the parents are stopping right here. And so they were giving tickets through yesterday, and then I didn't see them today. So that's okay. That's just a thought there. So I think if you can go straight to the, the school board, like you were saying, that's perfect, I think.
So Jim, can you send me your list that you read through? So
Absolutely.
I can prepare something for Randy. And Bonnie, if you have anything else you want to send me for Randy's letter, please, you're welcome to. And then, Randy may even put in this email that the school board member, if it's okay with you, that he could contact either you or Jim as well.
Oh, yeah, totally. All it will take is you could send one person over here at, say, 2:45 to 3:10, and they're just going to stand there and not believe what they're seeing. you know, and in fact, we
Yeah.
had a shoot, we had the, it was a Baskin and Robbins shoot here on the street today. It didn't start until, it was supposed to start at 1, but they didn't start getting there until 3 o'clock. And one of the guys that was the head of production, we were, another neighbor and I were standing in the driveway talking about it. And we saw all the K-turns. We had an ambulance come down that went into the school for something. And this production guy said, I can't believe they scheduled this shoot on a day at the time when the kids are coming out. And he just stood there laughing at how absurd the drivers were. You know, it's all it's going to take is somebody to just visualize it for 20 minutes. And they're going to realize that this is pretty screwed up, you know, but it's this whole entitlement thing, you know, there's, you know, and there's a new group of parents. Before, when we first moved here, not that many of the wealthier parents let their kids go to read. I mean, I'm just being honest about that. You saw a lot of kids walking down from up by North Hollywood Park and whatnot. And now when you see the cars dropping kids off, it's a big difference. I mean, you've got Teslas, you've got BMWs, you've got, you know, Range Rovers. It's a lot more money happening, and those kids are not gonna walk, you know, so.
Yeah, I totally agree.
You know, I mean, I hate to, I'm just being honest, you know, it's like you reach a point where enough is enough. And with the girl getting hit by the car and having to go to Children's Hospital, that was the straw for me.
Well, thank you for your participation tonight.
Thank you.
I'll look forward for both of you sending me emails on the stuff we talked about, and I'll let you know as soon as whatever Randy sends out, I'll get it copied to you as well, so you can see that it's been sent, and then, you know, see how long it takes to get some action. And I'm definitely going to suggest that he suggests to the school board member that either he or one of his staff members come out at 2:45 and witness this, because I imagine it's worse in the afternoon, because then you've got parents waiting. It's as opposed to in the morning, they're not waiting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the morning time, it's like last minute drop off. I've wanted to say so many times, so get up a few minutes earlier so you're not late, you know, and they pull really fast. The kids gets out and they literally, you know, it's like, I've seen so many kids almost hit, and it's like, it's just freaking insane.
Yeah.
But this is great. Thank you so much, you guys. We really appreciate this.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. And we'll get
right.
back to you. Yes. Charlene is raising her hand.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you. And my neighbors, Bonnie and Jim and Jennifer's here also. Anyway, if you do have somebody come out at that time, don't make it a Tuesday. They get out early.
Yeah. Okay. That's
okay.
Yeah.
Good to know. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect.
All
Great.
right.
Thank you so much,
everyone.
guys. Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
All right. We'll move on to agenda item number 7, discussion and possible motion with respect to supporting Uproar LA's concern with the next gen airplane flight path over Studio City. And I have I'm just going to read a proposed motion that I have before I let our speakers speak. Motion: the board of the Studio City Neighborhood Council, SCNC, requests Los Angeles City Attorney Mike Feuer to file an injunction to halt the new terminal construction at the Hollywood Burbank Airport, pending the resolution of the City of Los Angeles's lawsuit against the Federal Aviation Administration. And I believe, Justin, did you wish to speak? Justin or Lori?
Sure.
Whoever wants to go first. Okay.
Hi, everyone. I'm Justin Dickerson, and I'm here with Lori Rittenberg. We're both Studio City residents, and we're part of an organization called Uproar LA. Also here with us tonight is Kim Turner from our sister organization, Studio City for Quiet Skies. Thank you to Barrie and the board for the chance to speak with you tonight about noise and pollution impacts on Studio City from the Burbank Airport. I'm here mostly to talk about the replacement terminal project at the Burbank Airport, but I'll start with a brief overview of our organization and the issues. Uproar LA was formed in response to the FAA's flight path changes 5 years ago at the Burbank Airport as part of the FAA's nationwide Next Gen initiative. FAA Next Gen at the Burbank Airport has moved a new, narrow, focused, low, loud jet path over Studio City without notice or environmental study. But it's not just noise, it's also pollution. These are severe environmental impacts on Studio City. We are here today to ask for the Neighborhood Council's help to prevent additional future impacts from the Burbank Airport and the replacement terminal project, which will increase community torture by increasing the number of jets and the size of the jets departing from the airport. Because the FAA's environmental review of the replacement terminal project focused only on the area in the immediate vicinity of the airport, the FAA did not consider these impacts on Studio City in considering the proposed replacement terminal project. Because of this, the City of LA has sued the FAA based on this incomplete environmental review of the replacement terminal project at the Burbank Airport. Despite this lawsuit, the Burbank Airport is moving forward with vigor to build their new terminal. As just a few examples of actions that they've taken recently, they hired a consulting firm for $180,000. They're acquiring bids from contractors. They're entering into use agreements with the airlines for the new terminal. And they recently hosted an industry day for design build partners. In the City of LA lawsuit, there was a joint motion. It was mostly about a briefing schedule, and the city signed it. But in this motion, it allows the Burbank Airport to continue with their plans to build the replacement terminal unfettered unless the city files an injunction to stop them. To that end, will the Neighborhood Council please bring the motion that Barrie read to the City Council? Again, the motion is to ask the city attorney to file an injunction immediately to stop the Burbank Airport from proceeding with the replacement terminal building plans for the duration of the city's lawsuit. With that, we'd be happy to take any questions that you have. Thank you.
Anybody, member, any stakeholder with a question? Go ahead and raise your hand or press *9. Or any committee. Oh, go ahead, Joe. We'll go to committee members.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
The whole flight path thing is horrific, so I understand. So they have added one, or they're going to add one?
There are two separate issues. So the flight paths moved over Studio City 5 years ago. So we have what we have today. You know, if you live in Studio City, sometimes it's every minute there's another plane that is over your home, your school, your business. In addition to that, the Burbank Airport for decades now has wanted to build a new terminal. The terminal that they have at their airport is original. It's from 1930 when they opened the airport. And the City of LA has blocked this because the Burbank Airport exports all of the impacts and burdens of their operations to the City of Los Angeles. All of the planes that depart, all of the planes that land at Burbank, they briefly fly over Burbank for a few seconds, and then they go over LA. Some of the arrivals actually loop as far as Woodland Hills and then come back around over Van Nuys to land at the Burbank Airport. So none of the planes, the Burbank Airport is owned by Burbank, Glendale, and Pasadena. It's a joint powers authority by the three cities. These planes don't fly over the cities that actually own the airport. They all fly over LA. So when they build the new terminal, they're very clever in the way that they position it. They say it's a replacement terminal. It's gate for gate. We're going to have the same number of gates. What they don't say is that they'll be able to park 3 planes at each of the gates where they currently can only park 1. They also don't say that there will be larger planes. They also don't say that they're adding international flights to Canada. They also don't say that they're not doing anything about the unsafe airfield that's been at the airport and that the FAA and the Burbank have known about for decades. So what we're asking for help with is the City of LA lawsuit over the new terminal to stop them from building this new terminal, moving forward with the construction until the lawsuit progresses and goes to trial or is settled, whatever happens.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Of course, thank you.
Yeah, and it definitely sounds like this is something our city attorney can do now to help further the cause of ultimately getting what we want in terms of the flights, at least going back to where they did take off over parts of the East San Fernando Valley and not over the hillside, which actually is closer to the plains because they're higher up in the air to begin with. So,
Yes.
anybody else? So do I have a second for this motion from a committee member?
Yes.
Thank you, Joe.
Mhm.
I was just going to say before if there's no further committee comment, we'll take the vote, but I was just going to mention this, if passed, would be before our board 2 weeks from tonight. And that meeting starts at 7, and our agenda would be on the SCNC website 72 hours in advance. So I'm going to go ahead and take the vote. So I'll do a roll call vote. Barrie Johnson, that's me, I'm yes. Mark Rubin? Yes, thank you. Joe Perry? And Abby Velasco?
Yes.
Thank you. So it is unanimous. Thank you. And so this will be on the board agenda 2 weeks from tonight at 7. It's also a Zoom meeting. And thank you to Justin and Lori for attending tonight and for giving us the background on this. And I don't see any reason why this wouldn't pass our board, but you never know. But feel free to attend 2 weeks from tonight.
Barrie?
Thank you. Yes. Yes, Mark.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I just have a question. I'm sorry, I've been having technical difficulties all night. I haven't been able to connect or talk or anything. I wanted to say something before, but I'm just curious about the procedure of the SCNC making a motion directly to the city attorney as opposed to through our council person. Can you just explain that to me?
We can do that because he's the one that files it, really. And there's no city council file per se on this injunction. So it really needs to go to the city attorney. And we have sent motions to the city attorney before. So, there's no reason why we can't.
I think that's great, and I think it's something to do, particularly because I'm sure you were at the board meeting last week where this came up with our council person who seemed very disinterested in it.
Right, and she's, newly acquired Studio City, so, Pure is the one who's going to file it, so, we need to go direct to him. When this motion goes, we'll certainly CC our 2 council members, but I think it needs to go to the city attorney.
I just have one comment. Hi, may I just jump in? Lori Rittenberg, thank you everyone for taking this and listening and voting for this. There's probably a city council. I used to be a city attorney just recently, as of about less than a year ago. There's probably a city council file in connection with the city council voting to give the city attorney outside counsel to file that lawsuit. So there may be a city council file related to this topic. I don't know much about your procedure though, so.
Well,
Something to think about.
Do you know what it is, or can you? I mean, I can look for it too if you want.
I can look for it. I don't know. I mean, you might want to. I would send it to both the city attorney and the our 2 city attorney. I mean, our 2 council members, as well as my few. I don't know. I mean, I don't. Do you send motions? Do you send motions to the city clerk? I don't know how you interact with the council. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's really via the city council file. So I'll look for that, but certainly we also, regardless of the city council file, we definitely will CC our two council members.
Mhm.
So they'll know what we're asking the city attorney to do. And I will, if you find that city council file, let me know, and I'll check on the city council file and put in Burbank Airport or something and see what I come up with.
Oh, okay. I
So-
think we can get you information. We can also
Okay.
get you some information too to help.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
If you can do that in the next couple, this week, or let's say by Monday, only because I have to get this into our president for him to next week do our board agenda for 2 weeks from now. So, yeah, thank you. So if you can get anything you find by Monday.
Yeah, we think that I think the city passed some motions, and so that should be we should be able to find it.
Okay.
We'll get it to you.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much, and thanks
All
again
right.
for coming tonight. All right,
Thank you.
I'm going to move on. Thank you. Move on to agenda item number 8, update on the progress of the remaining board passed preferential parking district applications. And Mark, can you give us an update on the one on Sunshine Court? I'm very interested for everyone else to hear about that one.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the amazing news is we got our signs posted last week. What I noted was that my first notes on starting work on getting the PPD in my area were on February 24th, 2018. And the signs were installed on February 23rd, 2022. So in all good consciousness, I cannot say it took 4 years to get it. It took 1 day less than 4 years to get it. But as the expression goes, better late than never. So that's the progress on the ones that I was working on.
Okay. And Joe, I was just gonna ask you, is there anything new on Mound View? There's still no signage, I take it.
Nothing is new. The people who cared a lot about it are burned out, and there are new people living in the neighborhood, but the parking situation is bad. The hiking thing is much more, there are more hikers than there have been. And there's a lot of construction as well, but no, nothing.
But doesn't Felix still have the request? And didn't you had the signatures qualifying your street, didn't you? So
I don't know
it just a matter?
I don't know if Thomas did, because when we met and if you remember that meeting with Felix, he had, I didn't collect those signatures, he did. So I don't know, but Felix was going to work on it and work with us. And the big issue was, not to bore anyone, how you configure the timing and the days of that, of the permit parking, how much time we allowed people to park. So I don't know, but Felix just, the whole thing disappeared. So, and I despair really now of ever moving forward because they dropped it.
Well, I think Felix had the signatures from your neighborhood. I'm going to have to go back and check with him again. And it was only Mound View, wasn't it? Or a little bit of Laurel Terrace?
I know that it might have been some Laurel Terrace, just a little bit, but it was mostly just, all it was extending the existing district, one
Yeah.
block
Right,
south.
right.
That's all it was. And
All right,
so-
I'm gonna have to.
and they
check
have
with Felix.
extended it. They have, I've seen, I mean, I don't know. And then I asked years ago now, Courtney, she said it's because the other blocks were in a business district and this block, our block wasn't a business block. People didn't park to shop. I mean, they park there to hike and to do dismissal and drop off and all that, but it's just crazy. So I don't know. And Thomas is very, I think, angry about the whole thing. To be honest.
Okay.
I don't mean
Well,
one
I'm
of
not
you
gonna,
or
I'm gonna
anything.
check with. I'm
Okay.
gonna check with Felix first before
Okay.
I ask Thomas anything.
Well, no,
Yeah.
not at you. I
Okay.
think with the process. It's
Yeah.
just a joke, that's all.
Sure.
But so I think, nothing's changed except they've changed. Felix has
Okay.
changed. Okay, thank you.
Thanks. And I have an update on Blue Canyon and Fred, who sent an email and copied me to Felix. And Felix wrote, Fred basically said, he wanted to know what was going on. And Felix says, the good news is that I literally have the report in hand, getting final edits prior to being submitted to the Transportation Commission. The only thing is I'm trying to get a solid meeting schedule since they used to meet every third Thursday of the month, but switched due to some regulation. Apparently they met today and are supposed to meet again on March 10th, so it will be less than 30 days. Once I figure out when they accept the report, I'll be sure to let everyone know. Because I know the council district was redistricted during COVID, so I'm hoping that won't delay the approval process. Take care and have a good weekend, he says. But I don't think it will. I think it was far enough along. And it's also, Blue Canyon is not a new district. It's just adding on to an existing one. So I'm hoping for Fred's sake that this is finally going to go through. So kudos to Fred for pursuing Felix. So we'll see what happens on that one. So I will move on, I guess, to number 9 and 10 are actually the same thing. I did them twice by mistake. It's an update on the progress of the new traffic installations at Ventura and Barrie, as well as Ventura and Rhodes. We know Ventura and Rhodes, we were last told sometime in May, but the Ventura and Barrie is interesting because at near the beginning of January, they worked on the south side, the signals in, they fixed the sidewalk with wheelchair ramps, but they've done nothing on the north side yet. And one of the people that lives up Barrie Drive that's been interested in following this with me for all these years asked if I knew why they did that work and then it all stopped. And I said I didn't know, but oftentimes the city works in strange ways. They do a little bit and then they come back 6 months later and do more. But I did send a email to George Placentia, the new Studio City deputy for council member Rahman. So he got my email, he acknowledged, and he's trying to get to the bottom of why the work isn't progressing from LADOT. Because we had been told it would be done in February. It's obviously not. I mean, it's good to see what's been done is done, but they got to do the other side. So I'm waiting to hear back from him, but at least he seems to be looking into it, as opposed to this council office seems to be active in trying to get answers at least. So I will move on to number 11. Committee members on subject matter within the committee's jurisdiction. Does anybody have anything? Seeing none, I'll move on to number 12, closing comments. I just was going to say thanks to everyone for attending tonight. It'll be interesting to see what happens with Walter Reed Middle School. And like I said, Randy, I did talk to Randy before the meeting this afternoon. He knows about this, and he was, said he had good success writing to our school board member on getting the outdoor band music when they were practicing outdoors moved back indoors. Apparently, I think they were outdoors because of COVID. Now they're indoors and spaced more. I think they were worried about the wind instruments, that you blow into, obviously. So we'll see how Randy's email goes. And our next meeting will be the first Wednesday in April at 7:30 p.m. And I'll make a motion now for number 13, motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Joe. Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone. See you in April. And I'll let you know what I hear on Walter Reed. And our one motion will be at the board meeting 2 weeks from tonight regarding the city attorney injunction that we wanted to file. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Barrie. Have a good night. Bye.
All right. You too.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.